could just blow the internet across
Okay,
the country.
we're live again. I'm pretty sure we're
Awesome.
up. And we're back. A dinosaur story. Frickin' took me forever.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about, to our 0 viewers, we were talking
They'll come
about...
back.
They'll come back. We'll give them a minute.
They'll always come back.
I don't see the stream is starting though on my.
Yeah, it hasn't started for me yet. There's usually like a load up
That's a
delay.
little bit of a delay.
It can't actually be 0 viewers because I know I'm at least 1 viewer, so I'm guessing.
I'm a viewer.
There we go. Should be back now.
I'm not live. Hold up.
No, wait.
There we go.
You have to restart it or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
let me
restart it
refresh.
because it's a new video link.
Oh, it's a whole new link. Okay.
Oh, geez. Okay, that explains
Because
it.
YouTube is dumb.
I
Hello,
see.
people who are slowly returning. Be sure to
Hello.
refresh.
I would repost the thing in Facebook. You know what I mean? Like deleting the other.
All right, now I see us as existing.
I'm going to actually post this link in the chat of the old link.
So
Good
So
call.
about me taking Brandon's spot. Come on in, bud.
what we were talking about, like while Jeremy was fixing the technical issues, was like the difference between a powerful card and an overpowered card. And like a good example that Ryan gave right now would be like the difference between Lorite's 7 Disciples and the Distortion of Time, where like one is very, very cheap, very, even if it's answered, is very just research positive and does something incredibly powerful. Whereas Lorite's 7 Disciples are like very powerful and like if left unchecked can just win a game on their own, but they're also like fairly costed for what they do, and they have weak points where you can hit them. And there are spells in a lot of colors that answer them. It's just that you have to be selective with your answers since they don't just die to miscalc like a lot of the aggressive threats in the format do.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a fair statement.
I was saying that I would love to live in a world where miscalculation is like a card that we complain about and is considered overpowered, and we have like memes on Facebook about, oh my god, we should ban miscalculation, because it really is like the Fair spell of Resonators.
The fair spell of Resonators, I like
But it's
that.
just like, it doesn't get any complaint because A, it's not a green card, and B, it's just like not a Resonator like defined format. Like I'm sure if you're a Keurig player, you're like, yeah, we should ban miscalc. But like any other deck is just like, yeah, okay, that's
But like
fine.
that's the thing is like even Keurig has an answer to miscalc in the form of Play Dead.
Yeah.
And they're very adept at getting access to those if they want that in their deck. And so like that's sort of what, like, and someone mentioned this in the chat earlier that there's always a card that someone's complaining should be banned. But that's sort of the difference between an overpowered card and just a powerful card, is that if we're just complaining of like that, like some people are just like, man, I'm unhappy with this powerful card, and that's their big complaint. We're probably doing okay in the format, but when we hit like an overpowered card, like some of the ones we've had, you start to get to the point where like it warps the format, and they're just like, you see it just like accrue dominance.
Yeah.
Can I have my like random tangent now? Because like the posts that people make were like, oh, is this the card we're complaining about now? It's like, yes, we will complain about cards that should not exist and are like warping the way that you have to play the game and are just inherently not interesting. Like it's just that argument infuriates me.
Address that a little bit, because there always is this, like, I don't remember his name, but there's this guy whose like profile picture is like a baby or something, who's always like, oh, you guys are complaining again, what's the next card we're going to complain about? Like, no, this is a very serious conversation. When cards are both overpowered and unfun, which I actually do think Chrono Break is entering that territory, we do need to talk about removing it, because we want this game to grow. We want more people to come in. I mean, I just had a guy at my locals last Saturday who came back who'd been taking a break for a very long time, and he said that he quit in Baja. And like, how many of those people are going to quit every single time they print some card that is just meta-defining and ridiculously unfun to play against? And so we need to start hitting those cards, even if you don't like bans, even if it's unfun. No one does. No one enjoys cards getting banned. But we need to take the future of this game more seriously. And part of that is continuously fixing the format for the lowest, newest level of player, so that we can start building up to a more competitive, more diverse, wider scene.
And I actually think, to that end, I think that the company and Jeff and people who I know who have voice within the company are doing that, to the sense of when we first started this game, we had no ban list, and the first card to hit a ban list was Reflector Frame, and it hit the ban list after 18 months. The second card to hit the ban list was Prisia and Hook, and those existed in the format for 9 months.
And Griffin.
And Griffin.
Oh, no.
And those existed in the format for about, what, 9 months? So we, like,
No,
halved it.
Lave got banned.
We banned Cheshire Cat's assistants, didn't we? Or we banned...
Yeah, that was before. That was after Hook and...
Priscilla, Hook, and Griffin all got banned at the beginning of Ray Cluster. There was a ban list in E&W that addressed the Alhamon OTK, kind of, was it?
That was happening. And that was an E-ban of Horn and...
Horn and Lave, right?
That was an E-ban of... It was an E-ban of Horn and Cheshire Cat's assistant.
No, I think Cheshire Cat's assistant stayed because Bremont topped Washington with it.
Oh, that's right. So Lave and Horn got
when
E-banned.
E&W came out, they banned Horn and Lave, and then the very next set they banned Persia, Hook, and
Griffin.
Right. So, but those were cards that existed for a very long time in the format, and then we had Cheshire Cat's assistant, which got E-banned, which was hilarious.
Only in Wanderer.
In Wanderer, it got E-banned.
Yeah, it was never banned in New Frontiers.
Right.
It's still legal in New Frontiers.
It still is legal in New Frontiers. Build it, Brandon. Build it. And then the next cards to get banned were the Sherry cards, and those got 3 months of time before the incorrect banning of the 3 cards from the main deck, and then Sherry herself got 6 months of time before a ban of the from her. So I would like to use this as a case example of the company is listening and more willing to make sudden changes, I think, without being too trigger happy, because I personally am of the opinion that unless a card is absolutely insane in the form of the Cheshire Cat's assistant, I actually advocated for an E-ban of that card, or an E-ban of something to make it not what it was. So like Horn and Lave, like I was okay with, like that fixed it in my mind.
The deck was still. I topped with that after the Lave Horn.
I know you did. I know. Okay, moving on. But like the time frame that the company has been willing to take action on has consistently shrunk, and I think that we are seeing more data allocation from the company. We are seeing more looking at specific cards in terms of how much they are played in the top cut decks, as well as how much rulers. So more actual like card analysis breakdowns, which I think is incredibly important, and an active notice that the ban list, even if there is no changes, will be updated every 3 months. We went without even having a rumor of a ban list existing for almost 2 years. So like the fact that the company has came out and made a stance of like, yes, every 3 months, even if we don't identify something, we're going to update the ban list. And that update will be, as of this day, nothing has changed, but we will still at least mention something. I say that from the fact of having these conversations among groups in online forums, in looking at decks, in looking at breakdowns of events, in forums like what we're having right now with the Teacher's Lounge, continually talking about these cards, continually looking for the answers and finding none, continually sharing our thoughts about why these cards need to be potentially hit or not hit. The company is listening. And so my takeaway point from that is, please be mindful that we don't get whiny, because whiny is like, in Forza Will's history, has never worked. Like, I don't think that whiny has ever worked. But, like, constructive and thought-out criticism and counterpoints and, like, discourse, I think that people listen.
No, memes. Only memes. As long as you make memes. Excellent ban this card memes, it'll get noticed every time. But, I completely agree. One of the things that I want to talk about, that does come up with the criticism of oh, here's this post about we should ban this card, and then there's always that one guy who says, hey, why don't you learn to beat this card instead of asking for it to be banned already? And it's like, well, you know what, dude? I'm guaranteed the people making this post play this game way too much, and by way too much I mean probably more than you. But it's like, if there was a way to beat this card, I'm the first person to say, okay, this card's very powerful. I'm going to scour the entire existence of New Frontiers format to figure out how to beat it. When most people, I think, come to the conclusion of, okay, this card actually needs to be banned, it's because, it's not like an infinite game. It's not like, oh, there exists a way to beat every card. There's 400 cards in the format. It's a finite set. Sometimes cards exist and strategies exist that are just not beatable with what exists in the format. When that happens, I think it's appropriate that cards get banned, or you print something that answers it. And sometimes, in the case of the Distortion of Time, I'm really not sure what kind of card you could print that would counter that would not also negatively impact the play style or play patterns of other decks. Hopefully Forceful comes up with something, but I don't know. That hasn't been their history. When they print problematic cards, they're not good about fixing it because of how far in advance they print sets. So I think that it's definitely, it should be more on the table that we should be accepting of ban cards in this like mindset of, oh my god, we can't ban everything that's a problem. We have to learn how to beat it. I just don't think that that's a viable option. Situation.
The distortion of time is also a good example where the way that you currently beat it just gets adopted by the distortion decks. Like the way you beat distortion right now is you make use of Lorite specifically, and thus you have to build into reactive green cards at least to a certain depth just to be able to play against Time Spinning Witch. And so the problem you run into is that the current top performing Time Spinning Witch decks adopted green because they were still able to perform what they were trying to do with limited blue access, but then access to green got them the ability to protect what they were doing and to have counterplay in the mirror. And so that's sort of the problem we run into is like anytime the answer is just as easily, if not more easily adopted by the problem, it stops being an answer. And this is what we ran into last format where like every card that was good against Sherry was in Sherry. And so you were just better off being it because you were the problem and also had all the answers.
This in some way is part of the reason that color identity is so important, that like strategies are countered by things outside of their color. And I understand that Lorite's wind and Time Spinning, which is blue. So that's kind of that double hit there. But you really want to move strategies that counter other strategies in colors that are meant to go against that strategy. So like I'd rather see like a white or a red answer to Time Spinning Witch than specifically wind, which is the best support color in everything anyway. And that's kind of obtuse. And one way you could fix this is by just making wind not the universal answer color. But being that it is right now, when you print things like Last Days of a Powerless Draconoid or Lorite or Scarlet's Agony or these really specific hose colors, green to beat, so that you can always have a game against everything else. And I think that is another fundamental design flaw in Forcible that is really hurting it, is making wind this like counter color that it is.
And by the way, if anyone's curious, like a good example of a way that like you could have put an answer in white that would give it counterplay that still matches color identity would be that you give white, say, a 1 white addition that is, when it enters the battlefield, name a card. Activated abilities of that card cannot be activated.
Draw a card.
It's very much in White's identity of doing this sort of like, yes, adding draw a card makes it more powerful and might be necessary given that the thing we wanted to answer right now is a cantrip.
A card that draws a card.
Yeah, but it's in White's wheelhouse of White has done this sort of interfering with what you're doing ahead of time and using permanents like with Mephistopheles stopping enter triggers. But it's also, and then you're sort of this mid-range deck where normally you would get punished because you're like, oh, my goal is to play a couple early things to like increase my resources and then play these big mid-game bombs. And that's exactly what Time Spinning Witch loves because they're, neat bomb. Stop taking turns for 3 turns while I do like enough stuff that it doesn't matter how big it was.
Yeah, and I think so. I think that all of us sitting on this stage can, I think, agree that if Distortion of Time was to get banned when the next ban list comes out, I don't think any of us would be surprised. But I also don't think any of us would necessarily be sad. Now, I
also still think Time Spinning Witch would still be a tier 1 deck.
I agree.
I was actually about to say the same thing. Like,
I think that she's good. Don't get me wrong. I think she's still very good.
As a strategy with very little buy-in, which allows you to have less dead draws as a ramp deck, which is an inherently powerful top for that style of deck.
Yeah, I definitely think that it shifts what Time Spinning Witch operates as and still keeps her in the top levels. But
the ruler still says produce 1 mana of any color, and like that's just good. You can't beat.
So to go back to kind of what I mentioned before in part 1, before the internet died, I weirdly enough think that Time Spinning Witch, more so than Sherry, has a greater capacity to trip up the pilot. I think that it's very easy to trip yourself up, make the wrong play with Time Spinning Witch, and actually punish yourself out of the game. Which is not me saying that justifies Distortion of Time staying in the meta. I just think that it actually, in walking into States this weekend, is an argument to say maybe don't play Time Spinning Witch this weekend. Because unless you are walking in with an absolute good amount of practice and good amount of understanding, and I can speak to this too. So the time spinning witch that is currently being played, like Ryan, your list, is pretty similar in terms of game plan and like drive to the time spinning witch that I personally was playing before rotation happened. Even at locals this past week, I was making misplays that cost me a game and cost me a match, and it went to a draw because I was misplaying myself out of a game by doing things that I just like looking at a game plan. I go, oh yeah, this is the right play, and it's really not. And I think that time spinning witch, weirdly enough, like if I had not made those misplays, I would have had about 5 extra minutes on the clock and I would have won the match. But I made those misplays, and those misplays did not seem like misplays until like 2 turns later, because it was like, this is what I'm normally supposed to do. But I tripped myself up thinking that, oh, this is what I need to normally do. So I actually am advocating for it. Unless you feel 100% confident with time spinning witch, even though it is the strongest deck right now, like, and I don't even think that I feel 100% confident with time spinning witch, don't, like, bring something else to states. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket with time spinning witch, because it is very, very easy to mess that deck up, I think. Especially against a green. Like, I am surprised at how making a single misplay against a green deck can just be like, well, I guess I'm done, even though I'm time spinning witch.
We're starting to approach the end of our time, and I really wanted to. I had an idea that I kind of wanted to throw out here, that because I think that we should argue a little bit more on here, and I think that I have an opinion that the 3 of you will disagree with, and most of the chat will too. So I want to share that opinion so that we can talk about it.
All right.
So we were talking earlier about how cards that are unfun for new players should probably be addressed, because I think it ruins the locals level, and especially when it's something that's very difficult to interact with and has a very high power ceiling. And so we were talking about how distortion should be banned on those grounds. Well, I actually think another card should be banned in New Frontiers that I don't see anyone really talking about. And this might come as a little bit of a shock to some people, but I actually think Resuscitating Will needs to be banned too. Because I think that AU is actually a problem. And I legitimately do think AU is a problem. I think that it has extremely little interaction. I think new players do not like to play against it at all, because what it does is extremely hard to stop if your deck has no way to stop it. As a matter of fact, it's actually the same thing that stops Witch. Is like you basically need to have Lorite, Scarlet's Agony, and be a green deck. And if you're not a green deck, AU is going to beat you basically every time. And I think that's extremely unfun. I think it's extremely meta constraining. And I think if Witch didn't exist, if you ban Distortion of Time, IU steps in the same spot that does a lot of the same things that Witch is doing to new players, where people just don't like it. And I think it's a very poor linear design. And I think that if I see a distortion ban, and this isn't going to happen because no one's complaining about it, and in some way we make bans to appease the players that do complain about it, but I think that it would be very astute of Force of Will Company if they do decide to ban distortion to also ban Resuscitating Will.
I would agree.
So you wanted us to argue with you, but like,
I want to agree.
For the record, I really don't want Resuscitating Will to go. Everyone in this chat can validate that I don't think I've sent them a list that didn't have at least 2 Resuscitating Wills in about 6 months.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true. That's true.
There are games where I just got my opponent's like, got this locked up, and I'm like, nope, Resuscitating Will die.
Yeah, I think, and again, I think that speaks
I haven't played IU ever, actually.
I think that speaks to the unfun of some cards, where it's just like a card that you have no interaction with that says like the game is over. And I think
I also wouldn't mind a straight IU ban, but I think there are too many IU mains for us to actually do.
Yeah, you'll actually ban half the community if you ban IU. So like, I
just want to play Commander in New Frontiers. It's fine.
I can't come here and shit talk IU every single week and then not disagree with you. Like, I see where you're coming from, and I definitely think that like IU in general, like the play style is very problematic, and the points that you're saying, like, yeah, it loses to Scarlet's Agony, it loses to like Fairy Spell, it loses to Lorite, like that, in my opinion, makes it mostly completely unviable.
Every card you just said was one color though, and that's a problem.
Exactly. So like, I completely see what you're saying, and I'm trying to formulate an argument for this because you attacked me in a moment of weakness, and I think you're wrong. For some reason, because IU's bad. That's why I think you're wrong. I just think actually
about that. So, I'm glad that you said that, because I really don't think it's about that. I think it's about the fact that it is extremely hard to answer and extremely unfun for new players. And I think that alone is grounds for being banned. I mean, and I hate bringing Magic into this because this isn't Magic, but Magic does the same thing where they ban cards not necessarily even because they have a high win rate, but because they are meta stifling and difficult for the low end player to play against. And I think that we should adopt that strategy, because I want to grow my locals, and I think that as much as time spinning, which is a problem to my locals, IU is a problem to my locals, because people show up with IU and new players don't like losing to that. Like, you don't like losing to like flip, find a soul, 40 you, turn 3. Like, that's just not fun.
Yeah, like
Blue, white.
25-25 flying piercer that attacks twice in turn is completely unbeatable for way too many decks. It's just not like this is again a problem where the tools do not exist in the format. And because
the tools don't exist in the format, because remember, like, part of the argument for this one is that it's bad for new players. Well, for new players, it's not even enough that the tools don't exist in the format. They need to be able to get access to the tools with a limited card pool, and the green cards are in high demand right now. Like, Lurites aren't easy to get a hold of.
And Disciples are what, like 8s?
Yeah.
And so like 8s at base rarity?
I think that, like, you have cross counter in Keurig, which is okay. I think you don't have a Monteros's Foresight. You have no white cards that like prevent you from taking damage.
Unless you want to play Aura, Aura of Hope or whatever it is, the one that rests target
it's preemptive. It doesn't stop the problem. Yeah, like if they were resuscitating, will you let it resolve the Android combat? You tap it down again. Like, that's okay, but really just like if I'm a new player and I come to a tournament and I get clapped, my cheeks get bodied by Keurig, and I'm like, wow, that was not a lot of fun, but that's an aggro deck. Okay, next week I come back, suddenly I'm raw dogging 4 miscalcs, 4 naughty child's chastising, and I have a great time. All right, I saw myself as a new player lose. I did my research in the card pool, and I said, okay, here, I posted in the US group, said, hey, how do I beat Keurig? And all of the US group says, hey, here's how you beat Keurig. What color are you playing? You're playing white. Here you go. Miscalc. You're playing blue. Thunderlord's Breath. Shayla's Return. Oh, you're playing green. Scarlet's Agony. Arrow Trap. Oh, you're playing black. Life-Severing Blade. Glint of Insight. Look of Corruption. Like, every color has something that says, okay, I want to beat Keurig. Here's what I'm going to do. But when you play against IU, and then you're like, oh, you're a blue deck?
Have a good time. We're done.
You should consider playing a green deck. Like, that's just the only answer that you have for that person. So,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
In that sense...
Well, we lost Brandon.
Oh, I thought we lost Jeremy. I was like, all right, that's end of the stream, everyone. So in that sense, like, I really am hard-pressed to, like, find an argument to say, okay, yeah, like I do think that IU is just the bastard child of distortion at time, where as soon as we solve the problem of distortion at time, like, IU's just like, hey, guess what? Like, you take off the mask and it was IU the whole time. Like, all the same problems.
Can we talk about can we talk about real quick though how for the very longest time in Force of Will, nothing water, like pure water, was like, they're like, yes, and now both of the like problem decks that we're talking about is water.
Yeah,
their time has come.
And they're countered by green decks, which is why they're like not like it's like the weirdest thing going on.
It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, with that though,
I don't know,
Frank, you have some cards for us.
It's time for some quiz show because we're out of time, right?
Yeah, we're at our timer. I'm gonna put up our scorecards here on the stream so they can see. Frank, we have a buzzer system this time.
Yes.
So we'll be able to actually do stuff as always.
Yo, buzzer system.
Ye old buzzer system. So
no extra buzzes now. We're about to start the game. You two, stop poking the buzzer.
It locked. Yeah, it locked. Okay, so for those of you who are new, who haven't seen the rules of the game, Frank names a card. We buzz in. First person to buzz in gets a chance. They have to name the cost, the type of card, and what it does in order to score a point. There are 10 cards, and winner becomes the host for next week. So now it's time for what does that card do? Frank?
And if they're missing something crucial, someone does get a chance to steal. But if they cannot steal correctly, the point goes back to the person if they were close enough.
Yep.
So first up, and I sort of have these in order, so they should be increasing difficulty. But
it's rares and super rares. Frick.
But like I told everyone last week, these are all rares and super rares.
I didn't do my research. Shit.
Neither did I.
So first up, we have Atlantis, the Wielder of Knowledge.
Nope, I'm not. I didn't mean to buzz. I'm backing out.
Atlantis, the wielder of knowledge. Oh.
Buzz.
This is a,
there you go. Brandon is Buzz.
This is a 4/10 Mimi tribe for green 1 that says you can discard a chant to give it plus. It becomes a 12 attacker.
800.
So that means it must get +8 until end of turn, once per turn.
Okay. That is close enough. The only thing you're missing is it's 1200 defense.
Okay.
But yes, so Brandon has a point.
Point for Brandon.
Next up, Osiris, Lord of the Afterlife.
Yeah.
Ryan was in there fast.
All right, this is a red and 1 9/5 that when this card enters the battlefield, your opponent may discard a card basically you get swiftness or your opponent discards a card. And when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you may discard 2 cards to return it to the field.
Yes, that's correct.
Yep,
yeah,
that was
I don't remember the wording on the actual the way that works,
Yeah.
but
You had it functionally the same.
Okay.
Then we have The Last Thunder.
Oh no!
Dang
no!
it, Brandon!
Oh, fire this card! God damn it!
And I saw Brandon come in first.
Brandon's the first Buzz.
All right, this is blue for a chant with quick cast, and it says you can search your deck and graveyard for for 3 cards, name The Last Thunder and remove them. And if you do, it destroys all non-Magic Stone, non-J Ruler entities.
I want to go.
That
for
is
the steal on
close.
that one.
Ryan, would you like to steal?
So it doesn't have quick cast. It only has quick cast when it's thunder. And you can search your hand, graveyard, and deck to remove 3 copies from play, and then it destroys. Yeah, it destroys all resonators.
You're absolutely
Brandon
right.
had missed hand, and that it needs to be Thunderstorm for quick cast. And I'm not worried, but both of you missed that. If you search to your deck, you have to shuffle.
Yeah. It's in the rulebook, isn't it?
So Ryan gets a point.
Yep, Ryan's at 2.
Oh, wait, are we both 0.5 for that one, or?
No, 2
Also-
points for Brandon. 2 points.
Also, no, Ryan, there's nothing in the rule book that would make it to where if a card didn't say it and you searched, you would have to shuffle. It's
Really?
on the cards to say that.
Lights.
Oh,
So
boy.
the next one, Mephistopheles.
Which one?
I was
Okay,
waiting for the.
That was
It's only-
it is a
yeah.
3
Okay.
it is a 3 cost. It's 2 white and 1 8/8 human resonator. It says
You even got the type in there. Jesus.
when this it's the continuous effect is J/resonators your opponent controls enter the field tapped, and it says its inverse is when you perform Judgment of a Ruler, invert this card. Do I have to give you the inverse side as well?
Yes.
Okay, its inverse is a 10/10
the whole
demon with
card.
its inverse is a 10/10 demon with flying that says J/resonators your opponent controls gain -2/-2.
Oh,
And they do not trigger their enter effects. Their enter effects don't trigger.
nice.
That's the entire effect.
I thought that
No,
was
no.
right.
The backside
Yeah,
is a demon / inverse.
Okay, shut up. I'm gonna take my
Close
point
enough.
now.
It's close enough, but his
What did
front
he
side's
miss?
still a demon, Jeremy.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it
well,
front
it's
side a
not
demon?
even. Yep.
He's a demon
Oh.
on both sides.
To be fair, we don't need to give the
Jeremy
type.
asked
That was
us
just
to
like
get
he's
no-
just throwing out info.
All right.
Hold on, Jeremy. I think you left the room on the.
I did
poster.
because I turned my phone off. Hold on, I'll rejoin.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, let's get him back in here. Don't want to.
There.
Sorry, guys.
see.
I'm in. I'm back in.
All right, cool.
All right.
Okay. Next up, we have Thunderstorm.
Oh, nope. Oh, Brandon buzzed it anyway. Perfect.
I saw Brandon.
Jeremy's just buzzing. He's like, wait a minute, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I believe this blue.
Thunderstorm.
Oh, sorry, blue, and 3 for a chant with quick cast that says return all resonators that are a controller's hand, and if the weather's thunderstorm, put them on the bottom of their owner's decks instead.
Yes. That's correct.
Well done, Brandon.
I
We're
didn't-
knocking it out of the park tonight.
Yes.
Oh my
We're
god,
doing
we've
so
got
good.
we've got
See,
5
we
points
should be
and
at this
5
point. We're in,
questions.
these,
5
these
points
were
and 5
supposed to be the
questions.
easier ones.
Yeah, right. Usually we still mess up
This
by
is
now.
where
so.
we should start ticking up a little bit, either because they're a little less known or they're a little more text. So
We start getting like,
Rainbow Shimmers.
oh, I know this one. Oh no.
So
I
this
should've
is-
known Jeremy would have gotten this. I
This
didn't
is
think about it.
okay. So this is a
so
1-drop
fast.
quick cast chance. It's 1 white, and it says choose 1. Mode 1 is look at the top X cards of your deck, where X is the number of gems you control. Pick a card and put it in your hand. Or the other mode is destroy target non-J/res entity with total cost X or less, where X is the number of gems you control.
Would anyone like to steal?
Yeah.
No.
No, I think the only thing is it's non-Magic Stone, non-J Resonator.
Yeah, that's yes.
Okay.
It's really important that they can't destroy
Isn't that what he
stone.
said?
I mean, come on.
Didn't he say that?
You also
Take it,
missed that
Jeremy.
you get to choose the order on the bottom of the deck. Or no, you don't. Sorry, it's random.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, I want to
I'm
give
gonna
that to
take my-
Jeremy. I thought that he
I'm
said.
gonna take my
No.
point there. Thank you very much.
Non-Magic Stone, non-J Resonator, and non-J Resonator are very different.
Well,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
but
I think he gets it.
Thank you very
Alright.
much.
2-all, right? That's
So,
what I got.
2-all.
hold up.
I
So
gotta
I'm
log
not
back
the
into the-
so I'm not the arbitrator on these ones.
You
But you
were
are-
overruled by
you are
special
the-
counsel. But
Yeah, I think the
Well,
three
then.
of us can overwrite.
If we all agree that someone gets the point, I think we can overwrite you.
Glorious the Silver Knight. Ryan's in.
Dang it, Ryan.
all right,
Fuck.
I'm pretty sure I'm
I
playing
thought
this
about it.
card in my deck in the OGP, so I hope it's the right goddamn card. Glorious the Silver Knight is white, and 1, has quick cast. When this card enters the battlefield, destroy target resident that dealt damage this turn, and then it has fire breathing where you can pay 1 red mana to. Sorry, destroy target J resident that dealt damage this turn. Pay 1 red mana to give this card +2/+0 and first strike until end of turn.
Did you say its size?
Yeah, I didn't, but it is a. Oh my god, I think it's a 7/7.
7-8, I think.
I think it's like a 7/8 or a 7/7 or oh man, I'm really blanking. I think
Sounds
it's
like
a
no one's gonna steal it from you. It's a 6/7.
6/7. Okay, yeah.
Point for Ryan. Well done.
Oof.
All right.
Here we go.
Cheshire Cat, Guide to the Mysterious World.
Oh,
Fuck.
Brandon.
He's so fast.
This is blue and 1 for a 6/6.
Goddamn gamers.
With you can pay 0 to remove a card from your hand to choose one, remove a card in your hand from the game, or put a card removed from this card, removed from the game by this card into your hand. And this card has symbol skills that are that Resonators exiled by this card have.
I buzzed in to steal.
Jeremy.
I also buzzed in. I think yeah.
The other mode is that it gains +1/+1 for every card removed by this card.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yep. It is specifically flying, first strike, swiftness, and precision, but I didn't think that was enough to merit like taking
Tied
it
with
away from you.
Ryan.
Dang it, I'm losing.
All right. Rinka, second daughter of the Mikage.
With Ryan.
Oh, get out of here. Rinka, the second daughter of Mikage, is a black 2-mana 6/6.
If you get this wrong, I'm gonna
God.
like spam my phone.
You're
Buzz
gonna
in.
steal it from me. I think Jeremy's got me for number 2. Whenever this card deals damage, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. As long as it has a +1/+1 counter, it has precision. No. Hold up. I know that. Okay. You can remove. Okay. It has precision all the time. You can remove a +1/+1 counter to give it flying. Oh no, I've botched this. I've destroyed this. All right,
Jeremy for the
take
steal?
your fucking.
Well, I mean, so it's a 2-drop, 2 black, 6/6 vampire that says whenever this card deals damage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. As long as it has a +1/+1 counter on it, it has precision, and you can remove a +1/+1 counter from this card to give it flying until end of turn.
Correct.
That's what I said.
You were on the right track at first, Ryan, but you switched to saying it had precision all the time.
I know. Well, it has a +1/+1 counter. It has precision. That's what I said.
Well, you
No,
also
you
gave it up,
precision
too.
all the time.
No, I didn't.
Ryan, I'm gonna
I did
give you
not
a
say
half.
that.
You
Ryan,
had it. You definitely gave it up and said, "Okay, take it, Jeremy." So what?
I'm gonna
Anyway, okay. What I thought was
Ryan, I'm gonna give you the point because you did have it.
That's what I thought there was
I
an
thought
ability
Ryan
where
did
you
that.
could remove 2
Ryan.
+1/+1 counters to do something. I couldn't remember it at all.
Ryan,
But
you have it. 4 points.
Thanks. I just didn't realize that was
Tonight
wrong.
is the night where we learn that Frank is the main judge on the show. Like 5.
You
I
buzzed.
thought there was a
I
whole
buzzed
other
in.
effect.
So I would like to point out though. That I started to buzz in the second he said ring. Like he said ring, and I was buzzing, and you
was in
still
there 'cause
beat me. Like
One more.
Well
Right?
then, the last one, this should be the spiciest one of all. So, Ouroboros, the Snake of Reincarnation.
oh fuck. Wait. Ouroboros, the Snake of
got
Reincarnation.
it?
Brandon, go for it.
Brandon is in.
I believe this is. I can't actually win this anyway, so one of you gets to steal this. But I believe it's red. It's 5 red
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
buzzing.
10/10. With when this enters the battlefield, exile your deck and shuffle your graveyard into your deck.
All right, I can attempt to steal.
I will
you
not.
figure
I
you
can't get any
win it?
closer than that. I can't get any
Yeah, it
closer
sounds
than
like
that.
Ryan gets to steal.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to remember if it's the newer one. Okay, I'm gonna say that Ouroboros is actually a red. 2020, that when this card enters the field, Jesus, I know it's a 12 apostle. When this card enters the field, you
Jeez. I guess I get a chance to tie
exile
it.
your deck, and then you put your deck back in you put your graveyard back in your deck, and then it's also like got a symbol skill. I'm gonna say that it's precision. I don't remember why you do all these. I'm pretty sure it's like when it comes into play, you exile your deck and then you shuffle your graveyard back in your deck. That's all I got.
Jeremy, can you give me the last ability for the steal?
So let's see. It's.
Oh, can I say it before he says it?
Ryan, go ahead.
It's swiftness.
Nope.
Never mind.
Flying.
Is it flying?
Is it flying? I would never would have guessed flying.
So I guess we're going to give it to Brandon then, since he got enough of it right?
Yeah, Brandon, go ahead. Brandon gets the point.
So
Ryan
it has no symbol skills. It was a 5 red 2020 12 apostle / snake, and you were all correct on it, exiling your main deck and putting your graveyard back into your main and Magic Stone decks respectively. But everyone forgot that when it's put into your graveyard from the field, put them on the bottom of its owner's main deck.
Oh, yeah.
It puts
it never
itself
dies.
back in.
Well, usually when you play that card, your opponent shuffles your graveyard back in with Horn, and then you lose the game, so it never dies. I guess that's not an interaction I was aware of.
He's not wrong. So Ryan, with 4 points, this is the closest. All-around game we've ever had. 4-3-3. This is solid.
I am glad at least the final question was as hard as I wanted it to be.
Oh my gosh.
God, I hated most of those.
Freaking Frank, I appreciate that you threw in Rink. So Frank,
the second hardest one.
Frank, I appreciate that you threw in Rinka. Ryan, I hate you that you somehow busted faster than me on Rinka.
Go watch the video. I swear to God, I said the whole thing. I really thought it was going to be
the amount of times that I have had a conversation with Ryan and gone, but Rinka, like.
You don't know how many times I tried to convince my brother to play that card in the deck. He's like, Ryan, we're not going to.
So hold up, is everyone in this room but Brandon just secretly a Rinka fan and was disappointed for an entire format they couldn't play her?
Yes,
I was the same way.
I love that card, man. Especially they printed. Okay, I believe the spoiler that had Spider's Web went a little bit something like this: read Spider's Web, immediately text Ryan. Ryan, we're playing Rinka. I'm pretty sure it went a little something like that.
Just a bit, yeah.
We should wrap this up before we get off on too many nostalgia tangents.
Okay, thank you guys so much. That was a super fun round. Frank, so much. Thank you for picking those 10 cards. Ryan will be back next week to see what your 10 cards are, as well as see how all of us did in our respective states events. Hopefully, you guys have checked out your ARG states event this coming Saturday. Please go and participate and support it, and don't forget, don't just immediately run time spinning wage for the sake of it. It has been a blast to have you guys join us. Thank you so much for being respectful and understanding of the technical glitches. I don't really know what was going on with my internet, but we were happy to have you guys here. Feature match coming up this week and deck profiles this weekend. And until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I have been joined by Ryan Miles, Brandon Bremont, and Frank Klosser.
Woo!
And we will see you guys next week. Have a great one, everybody.